Hey, Warrior Saints. Glad to have you beautiful people with us today on the first Wednesday of the new year. It is our first hump day. It is a majestic day. It's wonderful to be with you today. We're going to continue this discussion about hearing and listening and all of that. And we're going to take it from Matthew chapter 13. And the chapter 13 of Matthew starts with the parable of the sower. And Christ ends the parable of the sower with, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear." And he says this phrase all over the place, mostly after teaching a parable. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. And I'm always like, I'm listening. But like, why that repetition? And the disciples ask the same question in chapter 13. And Christ, and they're asking about why parables. And Christ says very clearly in chapter 13, verse 13, "Seeing they do not see, hearing they do not hear, and they are not able to understand." Another way to say that is this beautiful Arabic phrase that Father uses that translates to repetition taught the donkey. We have to get hammered over the head because we don't always hear. We might see what's going on and we might not believe it. And we might hear what's going on and we might not actually be able to hear what is really going on. We're not able to get underneath. We're not able to get to the heart of the matter. We're not able to get to the root. And this becomes problematic because, as Father was talking about yesterday, we're called in the Epistle of St. James to be quick to hear, slow to speak. But so often we're slow to hear and quick to speak. We invert that. And this becomes dangerous. We get ourselves into issues. I regularly have the problem where my brain works much faster than my tongue. And let me rephrase that. My tongue works much faster than my brain. And something that I think would be funny comes out of my mouth in a time that is inappropriate. And then my wife and I are discussing the fact that I'm always making jokes at the wrong time to be making jokes. And I'm not actually hearing what she's saying because I'm thinking about what's the next funny thing that I can do. And it blocks us from actually having real communication. So, how do we get over that? How do we overcome that? How do we fight through this so that we actually have the ears to hear? So that we are actually ones who can not just hear what's going on right in front of us, but are able to actually hear God's word. Step one, get out of your own way. We have to get ourselves out of our own way. We have to recognize our own shortcomings and do a little bit of introspection so that we can get through what is actually what we think is going on to what's really going on. But that kind of introspection is hard. And that kind of introspection is really difficult. And I often don't want to do it. And I need some help with that. If you're like me and you also need help with that, we've got something for you. We've got the Way of the Warrior Saint, which you can get at warriorsaints.org, which is two parts. There's the Understanding the Bible, which will help you hear God's commandments so that you can be one who has ears to hear. And then the second part is the battle plan, something that that's really fun. It's got these modules that deal with all the different parts of the human body so that we get down to the nitty-gritty, so that we have those tools that we need to really take a self-inventory and really analyze, what am I doing? And so that when I realize what I'm actually doing, I can stop doing what I'm doing and start doing what I should be doing, which is following God's commandments. Those commandments that I heard when I was watching Understanding the Bible. Those commandments that God has laid out before me that I can now put into action in my life so that I can become who God has created me to be, a warrior saint. We welcome you to join us. We'll be back again tomorrow as we continue fighting this fight, as we continue pushing ourselves forward so that we can all get to the same place where we have ears to hear. Till we see you then, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.